You are listening to Something Rather Than Nothing. Creator and host, Ken Vellante. Editor and producer, Peter Bauer.
Welcome, listeners. This is Jenny. I'm standing in for Ken this week. We are in Warbling Creek Studios down in beautiful Eugene, Oregon, welcoming back Blair Borax to the show. So welcome back, and what a treat to be here.
Thank you. It's nice to be here, too.
Yeah. So we just heard an incredible track, which I was telling you in between our recording that it's like hits me hard every time I hear it. So thank you. Can we start by just talking a little bit about that? And listeners have probably heard it before on the previous episode,
but yeah, totally. This song is called Tender Lately. I wanted to start with it. I totally forgot that I sang it on the last one. Whoops. I wanted to start with it because...
No whoops. It's, like I said, thank you.
I wanted to start with it because it's going to be the title track of my next album. It's called Tender Lately. And yeah, I love this song a lot. I wrote it in the fall. The short story is that it's a song about getting ghosted. And the longer story is, just feeling tender after feeling like I've had to start over so many times in the process of trying to find love, which is what a lot of the songs that I am putting on the next record are kind of about.
Exactly.
And I think a lot of people can relate to that one.
Well, for me, it's like the line, love takes a certain kind of bravery, and having that bravery and then the courage to keep trying, even if you're in a relationship, like keeping it going, having the bravery to keep it going. So tell us more about the album you're working on.
The album I'm working on, I've basically started it almost a year ago now. It's been a slow and winding process, and it's going to be, I think, 11 or 12 songs, all songs that I've written in the past year, since I released the first album last June. And the process of recording has been different than the last one in that we're taking a much more like acoustic approach to it and bringing in some more session musicians, so that it feels a little bit closer to my live performance sound than some more like the last album that was a bit more poppy in its production. And it's been fun because I've felt the growing confidence to be able to communicate some more of my own ideas into the songs, and which, as someone who doesn't have any formal training in music, sometimes it's hard to communicate the ideas or what you hear in your head. And so it's been fun to start to have the confidence to be like, what if we did this? Or I think I hear this, even if I sometimes don't have the quote unquote right words for it. But it's been a much more, it's been a collaborative process in a new way with my producer, James Villa, over at Groundswell Studios is where I'm recording in Portland.
Nice. Yeah, what's it like, I guess maybe working with more musicians and building that collaborative relationship with other people to find those sounds, just finding those pieces.
It's been really, really fun. The cool thing is that over the 5 years now that I've been active, since like my first open mic in Portland, it was only like 5 years ago, I've met a lot of musicians and they've become my community. So when I'm in the studio and we're like, well, what about mandolin on this song? Or what about trumpet on the song? And I'm like, oh, this person I know plays trumpet. Jordan Vale plays trumpet. I'll bring him in. And like just being able to then collaborate with people in my community. And also like, it's really fun making an album is really expensive, but it's really fun when you're like paying other artists and people, to do what they do, because it's really special to keep the money circulating in our community.
You're supporting each other.
Yeah.
And just kind of paying it forward with each other.
Yeah. And I've like before recording and stuff like that, I never really was in a position where I was doing that besides like, buying art at a craft fair or something. So it's cool to be able to collaborate with people in my community and help support them in the process too.
Right.
I wish I had more money to pay them more though.
It's such a nice mutual connection when you can support each other that way. I want to talk about writing. just from my own perspective as a writer who doesn't share their writing. Okay. Most of the time I write and I burn it and it's gone, and that's that. And the thoughts
burn it like over a fire, kitchen stove,
with a lighter, whatever. Like I just get rid of it. Cool. Not every time, but often. And that's just, it's my own process, and it's for me, and it's done. And those thoughts and feelings might come back, and maybe I have to do it again. Mm-hmm. But what's it like to like write down these experiences, thoughts and feelings, and then continually project them and share them with the world?
Mm-hmm. That's a really good question. Well, I think like that part of the process, the burning it metaphorically or literally is part of the process too. Like I try to every morning, like when I wake up and I have my coffee and I sit down before I check my emails, I do some writing in my journal. And usually it's so messy that it's like not even legible to myself when I read it back. I've been trying to change that habit a little bit because I'm taking a songwriting class right now with this organization called School of Song. And the teacher, she was talking about how like sometimes you can like pick out little lines from your free writes that might turn into songs. So I've been trying to write a little bit more legibly, but I think like in the Artist Way book, they talk about the morning pages, which is just could be kind of just to get the gunk out of your mind, to get the, like anything that's like clouding you out of your mind, off your chest. And then sometimes things might stick out to me that I'm like, I want to explore this more. Yeah. But a lot of times the songs will begin like at the most random times. Like one of the most recent ones I wrote, I was like playing a private party. It was like a high school graduation party, which was interesting. And I like went to the bathroom in between my sets, and then all of a sudden just this like little line, little hook melody came into my head. That was like, I'm not listening till I'm dead was the line. And the melody came with it too. And so I just recorded it on a voice memo. So it didn't just, cause it will go away if you don't record it. Sometimes you could try real hard to like keep it in there and you're like, what was that again? And so, but sharing, I started songwriting just for my own process too. And I wasn't really planning on letting the songs out into the world either. I've probably talked about this on the last recording, but that my first roommate in Portland just gave me a cheap old guitar, and I started just writing in my bedroom. And it just, the first song I wrote, it just felt like such a cathartic process to release the emotions that I think like song and melody and rhyme and poetry has a way of getting that out more than just like talking it out or writing it out, at least for me. And
to vocally express it.
Yeah.
It just adds a whole different element of releasing.
Yes, it's very physical. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But then when you get up in front of an audience, it's like a whole different thing. And sometimes it can feel really powerful, and sometimes it can feel really vulnerable. And yeah, it's fascinating. I think when I first started performing at open mics, I remember maybe part of this is like natural to like, this is a new thing I haven't done, and is it any good? Like part of it's natural to just be like, to be wanting feedback or external validation. But I just started noticing in myself how dependent I was on other people's opinion and validation from people in order for me to feel like it was a good night or was a good show or was a good performance. And so I started trying to like work with that, because it felt like it was trying to teach me something too, of like, well, why do I need someone to come up to me after my set and say, hey, good job? Can I just like feel good about it in myself? And sometimes the performance did suck, and that happens too. And that's okay. That's also part of the process. But, even like it's been a really amazing teacher for me, because it has shown me, like, even if someone came up to me and complimented one element about my performance, like if they were like, your voice is amazing, my first thought would be like, well, obviously they think my guitar sucks, like, and I still work with those voices, those inner critic voices in my head all the time. I write lots of songs about and to that voice in my head. Some of the more recent ones, which I have yet to really start performing them, are about that. They'll come on the next album as well. But yeah, it's been an interesting journey to stand in front of people and share like very vulnerable parts of myself. But when I step back, I also realize like how fucking cool it is that like people pay me to sing songs. Like that's crazy. That's a crazy job.
And you're your own boss now. I mean, yes. You get to design it how you want it to be. So speaking of which, you're headed out on a tour now. I'd like to just say that we're the first stop on the tour.
You are, yay.
Even though it's not on your poster or anything, I'd just like to say that we're the first stop on the tour. Where are you headed? What are you doing?
So we're in Eugene right now. So I'm playing tonight at an art gallery, Art City Eugene. Tomorrow I'm headed south to Applegate, Oregon, and then I'll be kind of like in and around the Bay Area. Nevada City, Sierraville, that's not quite the Bay Area, but that's on the way. Yeah. Roseville, and then Berkeley, Santa Rosa, a couple other stops that I'm not remembering off the top of my head. There's a lot of dates and cities juggling in my brain all the time.
Yeah. I love getting out on the road, so I'm a little envious of the road trip piece of that. What's it like touring and like being out there as a woman, and like can you give us a sense of what that feels like as a woman? Do you feel safe? I mean, I know as someone who's road tripped alone and camped alone and did different things that way, we have different experiences when we're alone as women. It's just the truth. So what's that like, touring and being out different cities, traveling?
Yeah, well, for the most part, all the touring that I've done, I've had like a co-pilot, another, so far, female singer-songwriter that's sharing the bill with me. And that's still mostly true on this run. I'll be meeting up with Miranda Mallard when I get down to the Bay Area. So I have a couple today and tomorrow shows are solo. But after that, I'll be with her for most of it, and it's really fun to tag team with another artist, and she'll be celebrating her album release too. Nice. So I'm looking forward to sharing the stage with her. But yeah, I think it's like something that I always have to be a little bit more mindful of my surroundings, but really more than traveling alone as a woman, traveling alone with a car full of expensive gear is the thing I think about more.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So there's a lot of schlepping gear in and out of buildings and cars.
Absolutely. Okay. Blair, you and I have a lot of overlap because you were an educator in the K-12 system, some alternative settings, and I'm a current educator, special educator on my happy summer furlough currently.
Doing the Lord's work.
The good Lord's work. And we're both 500-hour certified yoga instructors, so we've got some different overlaps. And a recent conversation I was having with Ken was talking about kind of the sense that even though I know I'm in a good place professionally, I know that I have a lot of strengths in what I do. I get a lot of gratification out of what I do, a lot of not so much gratifying feelings out of the system I work in. A lot of time feeling like there's something else that should be going on, that I should be putting my time and effort into. And you took that jump. And I'm not necessarily being pulled that direction, and I'm not a songwriter, so don't worry, no competition. But like, talk to me about like taking that jump and saying, okay, no more of this. Like, I've had enough of this over here. I need to bring myself over here and be autonomous in what I'm putting myself toward and not have anybody pulling my strings anymore.
Mm-hmm.
What's that like?
Yeah, it took a lot of courage to do that. There's a lot of like what ifs that
Big what ifs.
Yeah, went through my brain of like, well, what am I going to do when I don't have employee sponsored benefits and paid time off, and what if I don't make enough money each month? And there's a lot of that, and that definitely does create some stress now in my life, if I'm being honest. But it's also like very empowering to be like so in control of my time and energy and where I put it. And I try to remember what a gift it is to have like slow mornings and to be able to spend time with my creativity. And it's easy to not spend time with that still, because there's plenty of admin work that I need to do, so many emails and Instagram posts and like
the business
there's a
side
lot
of it.
Yeah, it's like 8 jobs in one, it feels like sometimes, and it does always feel like I'm not doing like there's always more you can do. But yeah, I recently wrote a reflection about like self-employment and what it's been like for me, because it's been about a year. And one of the things I was thinking about was, I was thinking about like what lessons have I learned in this year, and a big one for me is like we've all had like bad bosses that like make a good job bad.
Yeah.
And so I need to remind myself like, be the boss that you've always wanted. Someone who like tells you you're doing a good job and appreciates like what you bring to the table and doesn't expect you to work all the time. Yeah. And tells you to put your phone down and go to the beach, you know?
Give yourself some bonuses and some self-care time. Like.
Yeah, because I can have very high standards and expectations for myself. And so I've been working on not only like time blocking the times that I am productive, but also like putting in my calendar, like you're off during this time. Otherwise, I will find something to make myself busy.
Of course.
With. And so that's one of the new habits I'm trying to cultivate, because it is harder to create boundaries around work and life, because there is no 9 to 5 and there is no weekend and there is no office. It's all meshed into one thing. Like sometimes I don't know what day of the week it is, and I don't know when the last day I took off was. Like
that feels like me as soon as I sink into summer. It's like, what day is it? Okay. It's very freeing.
But hopefully that's in a way of like,
it's wonderful.
You're not working.
Yeah. Exactly. It's the slow mornings. It's tending to the garden. It's tending to creativity, recording a podcast, whatever we need to do. Right. I want to circle back a little bit to like the songwriting process, just for my own curiosity and fascination. You said like that the melody kind of came along and the lyrics right along with it. Does that tend to happen for you? Like, or does one chicken the egg type scenario, what usually comes first for you?
Sometimes it's both together, and when it's one at a time, it's usually the words first. I love words, and I love playing with words and rhymes and storytelling and alliteration and all that. And so sometimes I'll just be like in my car at a red light or pulling up to my house or something, and I like a little phrase comes into my head, and I just put it in the notes app on my phone. And then when I have the time and space to sit down and say, I'm going to try to write a song, then I'll like look back at those notes and see like, that's an interesting one. Let's explore that and see what will come from that. See what that song might want to say.
That's so cool. It's so cool.
It's a fun process. Sometimes it's infuriating, but it's fun.
Yeah.
Mostly.
I can only imagine. And then returning to your new album and that process, like, how do you structure an album? And maybe this is just a naive, it's good that a listener is here as the host, I guess.
Yes.
I can ask the dumb questions. Like, how do you decide the structure of an album? And like, does it come kind of organically to you? Like, oh, these songs kind of flow together, you know? I think of certain albums where you play them straight through and it sounds like this just wonderfully orchestrated piece all together, right? And then, of course, other albums are... But how do you structure that, and like what's that process, and with our perfectionist brain, like finding the sound?
Do you mean mostly just like the order of songs, or
yeah, and finding the order, the proper order, I guess is what I'm getting
that's
at.
usually the very last thing that I do, because they are all, each song is like its own little piece of the puzzle, and I think it's not till I hear like what the produced sound ends up being that I might want to like sit down all together. So it is definitely a process, and I think everybody probably does it differently, but like maybe some people go in, they already know what the order is before they record. But I haven't done it like that. But I think for me, I also like to think of like the storyline. Maybe there's like a story arc, like, but like from the beginning to the end of the album too. I do know one thing about the order of the next album, and it's that I wrote one song recently. It's called Who Cares? And it's about the music industry and like trying not to focus on the things that they tell you to focus on, which are like Spotify stream counts and how many people show up to your shows and stuff like that. Because it can be easy to feel disappointed if that's all you're focusing on. And so I have to remind myself to focus on what does matter, which is the people who are in the room, the even just handful of messages that I'll get from people saying this song really impacted me and here's why. And also the process of like enjoying the process of songwriting and performing and not getting so stressed out that you've like can't see like this is what I'm doing and it's fucking awesome that I can do this, you know? And also not forget to like live my life and not be so hyper focused. Again, like being a good boss, like giving myself time off, time to live and love the people around me and go to the beach.
Exactly.
And
Most
so,
importantly,
and so,
go to the beach.
Yeah, exactly. So what I was going to say is I know that for this album, my plan is to have that be the last song on the album. Because like here, everyone, here's this collection of songs that I've been working my little tail off on. And so I have a lot of people, team of people. I offer it to you. I hope you enjoy it. And then like wipe my hands. Who cares? Like,
who cares?
Best of luck, which I know I will be still checking the Spotify streams like a mad woman because that's in my nature. But
aparigraha from our yoga training, right?
Yeah.
Letting go.
Yes.
The thing's done. Let it go.
Exactly. That's the Who Cares song. So stay tuned for that song.
Blair, we're all looking forward to hearing more from you. So tell us about what you're going to be playing.
Awesome. This next song is called A Wink or Worse, which is kind of hard to say out loud, but fun on paper. A wink or worse. It's like a tongue twister. But it's another song that I wrote in that same kind of time period in the fall when I was not feeling like getting back out there, getting back on the horse, you know? And it's about, but there's only one way to find out, and you got to feel first. And it's kind of annoying sometimes. You don't want to have to like wade through the muck to find the good stuff, but sometimes you gotta. So this is A Wink or Worse. Don't put all your eggs in a basket, you ain't seen the bottom yet. What if a basket is made of plastic? There are holes you haven't met. you tried to fix up a life, but you don't know how to use the tools. A happy life makes a happy wife, but you'll end up a fool. 'Cause you can't memorize the words if you haven't heard the whole verse. Can't wake up to the birds if you haven't slept a wink or worse. Ooh, ay, 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 ay. Ooh, ay, 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 ay. You can't try to see straight with rose-colored glasses on. Don't fall for the clickbait, she looks different in the light of dawn. Not just another wish I made, shoulda, woulda, coulda fantasy. Can't be another hopeless dream, another love to fall apart at the seams. 'Cause you can't memorize the words if you haven't heard the whole verse. Can't wake up to the birds if you haven't slept a wink or worse. Wink or worse. Blessing or curse. Fall or farce. There's only one way to find out, feel first. 'Cause you can't memorize the words if you haven't heard the whole verse. Can't wake up to the birds if you haven't slept a wink or worse. Can't memorize the words if you haven't heard the whole verse. Can't wake up to the birds if you haven't slept a wink or worse. Can't memorize the words if you haven't heard the whole verse. Can't wake up to the birds if you haven't slept a wink or worse. Ooh, ay, 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 ay. 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 Ay, ay, ay.
Love it so much. Okay, what else do you have for us?
This next one is called Call Me Lazy. And it's for the love weary. I won't tell the story again because it's basically the same one. I swear I write songs about other things too. Somebody once told me the definition of insanity is to begin the same way over and over, expect a different end. So we must be batshit to look for love again and again. Open up, let someone in. Hearts break, not if but when. They say you'll get 'em next time, but you just get got. They say you're still in your prime, your catch get caught. Love is crazy, you can call me lazy, but there ain't no heart on my sleeve no more. I've heard of love at first sight, but I ain't seen a thing. They tell me try and you might find another thing. You always want the one you cannot have or doesn't want you to. Get hurt or hurt someone back, ain't that the truth? tethered to another person forever? What if I won't sit and wonder when I'll find my one true lover? Love is crazy. You can call me lazy, but there ain't no heart on my sleeve no more. Hey love, where have you been? I've been waiting on my one big win, but I'm here and I'm holding my own. I'll dig my heels in, can't wait for my life to begin. Don't need a love I've never known. Love is crazy. You can call me lazy, but there ain't no heart on my sleeve no more. Love is crazy. You can call me lazy, but there ain't no heart on my sleeve no more. Love is crazy. You can call me lazy, but there ain't no heart on my sleeve no more. No way in hell there's a heart on my sleeve no more.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Love it. Love it. I love the attitude. I mean, that's what I was getting off that. I just love the attitude of being like, nope, not doing it.
Yeah, I think my favorite line in that song is, I've heard of love at first sight, but I ain't seen a thing.
Yeah. Nice. Nice. Okay. What's next?
One more song?
I'll just keep going all day. But no.
I thought that maybe I would play a song from my first record for maybe some folks out there who might know this song already, and you can hear a stripped down version. This song, Like the Weather, is on my first record called Keep Walking, and you can find it wherever you listen to music. You can also buy CDs and vinyl records if you're into the physical variety. It's a dying art form, but maybe it's coming back.
Let's hope so. Let's hope so.
Yes,
exactly. Keep collecting, listeners. Keep collecting.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I feel really lucky that I got a new car, 2019 car, and I was very surprised to find that there was still a CD player in it. I think it was probably the last year.
That's how we got back into listening to the CDs, was because of the car we have as a player. So
when I'm on the road and there's no service, I open up my little book of CDs. A lot of them now are my friends, and I throw them on. It's fun.
That's so cool.
So this is Like the Weather, and it's about surviving wintertime for me in the Pacific Northwest, the gray, rainy, dark days, and finding sunshine on the other side. This is Like the Weather. I've been feeling like the weather. Wake up and my head hurts. Rain is falling down like sheets in my bed. When it's time to start my day, oh, but the skies are looking gray, and I can't shake that fuzzy feeling in my head. I throw off all my blankets in the cold. She leaves me breathless, my feet will hit the hardwood either way. Maybe today the sun will say move over to the blues and the grays. Maybe tonight the moon will shine so bright you forget the dark. So bright you forget the dark. I've been feeling like the weather. Every day is getting shorter, and the darkness wants to creep its way on in. I throw on my scarves and sweaters, and I do So slow it down, my honey. Not every season is meant to be sunny, and the skies will clear someday real soon. Maybe today the sun will say move over to the blues and the grays. Maybe tonight the moon will shine so bright you forget the dark. So move over dark clouds, I will find my way out. Step aside gray skies, I'm alive. Maybe today the sun will say move over to the blues and the grays. Maybe tonight the moon will shine so bright you forget the dark. So bright you forget the dark. Whoa, oh, oh, so bright you remember who you are.
Wow, such a treat.
Thanks.
Such a treat. Blair, I want others to experience the amazement that is, especially seeing you live, but experiencing your art, your creation. How do we get in touch with you? I mean, I would say listeners, check out our tour dates and go find it, like make it happen, because it's well worth it. It's intimate, it's emotive, it's all those things. But how do we find you?
Thanks for asking. Yeah, definitely. I'm doing a lot of touring these days. Oregon, Washington, California. I'm going to Colorado and New Mexico in September, and I'll be touring the East Coast in November, Northeast probably. But if you want to find me online, there's a couple different ways. I am very much on Instagram. That's kind of my main social media platform, blessing and a curse. But you can find me on Instagram at Blair Art Thou, like where art thou, but with a Blair instead, Blair. And I'm pretty active on there, sharing new songs and shows and stories. But the other two places I wanted to mention are, one, I have an email list, and I know that sounds really old-fashioned, but I really put a lot of heart into my email newsletters. I send about 2 newsletters a month that are not just, hey, come to my show, or hey, listen to my song, but try to offer, I love writing in general, not just songwriting, so I try to offer like interesting reflections and thoughtful words and something more to think about than just like my own self-promotion, which I get tired of too.
The newsletter is like spot on though. Just to interject, like listeners, if you're going to sign up for a newsletter, this is a good one, because it's, whenever I see it pop up in my inbox, I'm like, oh, just read through this. It feels good. And we talked about the, making yourself your own boss, recent one.
That was my last one I sent out, I think 2 days ago. And it's really sweet, because I feel like people actually will respond to those messages, to those emails, and thoughtfully, which is like, because I think when people are on their email, although our attention is always scattered, I think there's a little bit more sustained attention that people, including myself, have for emails rather than Instagram, which is like, we're just programmed to keep scrolling by. It's harder to like dive deep into something. So, and then if you like the newsletter, if you like that format, I have a Patreon, which is, I started just a couple months ago. It's a subscription-based platform where you can support artists directly each month. And the lowest level is $5 a month. And I share like another once a month thoughtful kind of reflection, but I'll also share like unreleased tracks and like songs right when I've written them, just a video of me playing them live, and stories behind the songs, and cover songs that you can request, and all sorts of things. And that also feels like a really sweet space now, because whereas like Instagram sometimes can feel like you're like singing into like a crowded bar where everyone's trying to talk over each other, Patreon and the email feel like more of like a listening room.
It's dedicated.
Yeah. So if you're interested in that, those are the places that I'm most excited about. I'm also on TikTok, and I'm not excited about that, but I am there.
Awesome. I'm also supposed to mention that Something Rather Than Nothing podcast has a website, somethingratherthannothing.com, where listeners, you can check out art postings. All of our episodes are on there as well. We're going to be integrating a blog as well on there. So check it out. All sorts of stuff on there.
And it's been a pleasure to be on the Something Rather Than Nothing podcast, not once, but now twice.
Yeah. Hey,
Thank you
next
so much
time
for
you
having
can
me.
come back and host and bring one of your friends or someone you'd like to hear on the show.
That sounds like fun. Let's do it.
Yay. Cool.
Now it's recorded, so it's official.
Ken always does things like that, where he kind of puts it in the recording and then has to come to fruition.
Publicly, so.
Right? Awesome. Thanks so much, Blair.
Thanks, Jenny. Appreciate it.
This is Something Rather Than Nothing.